キング病原が俺に惚れても知らんぞ。
Put those pencils down, you damn yaoi shippers!
Surprisingly, we don't open this week with the usual intro with Nodoka and Rablin's little banner, though we would see exactly why by the end of this episode. In a case, one of those heroines was excited as her class was going on a field trip to the Glass Arts Museum. She even arrived an hour early and delighted at the thought of being stopped at the ticket gate because, yeah, that's not annoying as all hell. However, just as she and Chiyu were about to go in, they ended up helping an old lady pick up her ticket money. Well, Nodoka mostly helped her, while Chiyu stopped a biker from almost ramming into her partner.
Yep, them some foreshadowing.
Another possible bit of story building came when Hinata arrived and all three girls helped retrieve the old lady's good luck charm that looked like a bottle of some sort. Okay, either that's got an elemental in it, or it's hand sanitizer, which to be fair, is super valuable right now. With that, our heroines boarded the train.
Yeah, don't worry about that ditch you left uncovered there. I'm sure someone will come around and fix that after they fall in and break their leg.
Meanwhile, in the Byogen Kingdom, the villain trio, or more specifically, Guaiwaru and Shidoine were having their usual little spat, while Darizen just peaced out. And to be fair, I think I would have done likewise if I heard this.
Okay,
is this guy trying to compete with Chiyu as the biggest meme in this entire show?
As a result of their pole measuring contest, the two decided to try and prove their worth to their master. Back with our protagonists, they were admiring the glass arts and even managed to meet one of the artists of the gallery. It was a bit of a blatant exposition scene, but it would at least play a big part in this episode later. On their way to the next gallery, Nodoka sensed somebody watching them.
How much of a nuisance has he become that you can say that so casually?
No, it was the healing animals and Latte who had convinced themselves that they needed to be by their partner's sides during their fun little excursion.
Oh, would you look at all them flags waving about?
Sure enough, with the most plot convenient timing ever, Guaiwaru snuck into the museum and created a Megabyogen out of a light elemental again, though this time using the reflections on the glass art as a catalyst. And I will admit, I really like this exchange. The Precure engaged the Croquette Megabyogen, with Nodoka also showing the artist that they had met earlier that they would protect the artworks no matter what. From there, it almost seemed like they were going to end the battle disappointingly fast, which wouldn't be too surprising in this current age, but Latte's abnormally sick cries derailed that cliche, thankfully. Because as it turned out, there were two more Megabyogen attacking simultaneously. Guaiwaru politely pointed out that it was likely Shindoinen participating in their little contest and Darizen just doing it for the hell of it. Though seriously, as the usual 10th episode stake-raising event for the franchise, this is a great way of going about it, showing how unequipped our still green protagonists are against multiple Megabyogen attacks, while also placing the cute little puppy in greater danger than usual. It almost makes me overlook how awful the animation here looks, though even that will be fixed in just a minute. In any case, our heroines decide to split up to simultaneously deal with each of the Megabyogens. Nodoka remained at the museum to deal with Guaiwaru and his monster, and again, being a surprisingly decent guy, offered to move the fight to a bigger space.
Let me guess, is it going to be perhaps an empty warehouse, or maybe even a quarry? Both are nice choices.
Thankfully, after the commercial break, we switched animation directors. Yeah, two were listed this week, with, I'm guessing, one of them focusing on the more slice-of-life half of the episode, while the other, more seasoned animator focused on the more action-packed half of the episode. Not a bad system to maximize the show's production, especially when we get stuff like this, where we actually get to see Nodoka trying to avoid hating the artwork and taking some rough-looking bumps as a result.
Yeesh, take it easy, Nodoka. Stuff like that almost ended Daniel Bryan's career, you know.
But yeah, because of the promise she made with the artist, Nodoka made it a point to not damage the artwork, as previous episodes have established that unlike other seasons, physical property damage can't be magically restored in this series. Things weren't going much better for her teammates as the Healin animals realized that, like actual pathogens, the longer the Megabyogens were allowed to spread, the stronger they became. And conveniently, all three animals came to this hypothesis as though they had some sort of telepathy or something. I don't know, maybe they do have some sort of connection while they're all in one form, as they also seem to be able to coordinate a plan to regroup the cures to take out each of the monsters one at a time. Since it was the last one created, they surmised they should deal with the river Megabyogen first, but...
yeah.
Nodoka couldn't bring herself to break the promise she made with the artist, and thus couldn't risk leaving the Megabyogen alone to possibly destroy the artwork. I can't emphasize this enough. This right here is a great superheroine establishing moment for Nodoka. Does she choose between her larger duty to protect as much of the town as possible, or the more personal promise she made with the artist? Arguments could be made in favor of either of her choices, meaning that morally, there wasn't necessarily a right or wrong choice.
バカな。そんなバカな。何が正しいものか。
Luckily for her, she wouldn't have to make such a painful choice this early into the series, but still, it was a good test of character. Though before that, she had to fend off the Megabyogen with her Harvest Elemental bottle. Oh great, so it's just gonna be another weak-looking projectile. Or it turns her wand into a sword. Why didn't that happen last time? That's awesome! Well, even that much more impressive bit of arsenal wasn't enough to one-hit the Megabyogen, and she ended up ironically saving it to protect the art. Thus, while there wasn't a morally right or wrong choice, from a practical standpoint, Nodoka did make a very bad call. Thankfully, as I said, her friends came in to help her out. After frosting it over, Chiyu proceeded to purify it, and whoa, what's going on with his face? Okay, should I just start a Guaiwaru counter next time? Anyway, as I was saying, they rescued the Light Elemental as well as all of its friends who had also resided in the other artworks. As thanks, they filled up Hinata's Light Elemental bottle, likely building to something next week, and with that, they made their way towards the river Megabyogen. Along the way, Nodoka apologized to Heilin for not listening to her, and acknowledged, like her run-in with the bike that morning, she needed to learn how to see the bigger picture. While I do feel the resolution to this sort of mini-arc for Nodoka is a little rushed, I will say this. Man, I wish more anime protagonists would learn this lesson. I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are. Heilin didn't completely downplay Nodoka's choice, as it was still fairly noble and everything, but thankfully Nodoka still recognized that she made a mistake and that she would do better. With that, the episode ended with a fairly optimistic, yet pretty epic to be continued shot. This was, by far, the most fast-paced episode of the season so far, which is both a good and bad thing, though the former does overtake the latter, and above all else, it's got me hooked to see the resolution next week. Now yes, unfortunately, some things were glazed through, like the Healing animals conveniently arriving at the museum just as Guaiwaru launched his attack, and them possibly just having telepathy that allowed them to regroup and help defeat the museum Megabyogen. It's all rather overly plot convenient, but I'm willing to overlook it just because of the great production we got as a result of it. Not only did we get an even longer action scene than last week, this time taking up over half the episode, but also the escalation of tension was handled amazingly well. From the great animation with just some brutal looking spots, especially for modern Precure, to the absolutely amazing music. Seriously, it's been a while since I've wanted to own a Precure OST this badly. It especially worked during Nodoka's big choice scene as it went completely silent just for that 1 second. Speaking of which, this was a great early test of character for our pink lead. And while she arguably made the wrong choice by failing to see the bigger picture, the most important outcome is that she acknowledged that narrow-mindedness. Again, that trait sadly in small stock amongst protagonists these days. While I kind of wish they weren't quite as on the nose with this and maybe save this resolution for next week, it was still a really good character moment for Nodoka. If we can get more scenes like these, or at the very least some more music like this, I'm looking forward to the conclusion next week.
If you haven't seen it yet, I just posted something other than a Precure video. Just an easygoing cooking video based on a recipe from today's menu for the Emiya family. I think in times like these, cooking can help us get our minds off of current events. And don't worry, more Precure videos are on the way. Let's just say, after filling our stomachs, I think we should be filling our souls with some goodness next. Look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends. And if you'll excuse me, a certain franchise is returning this week, and I've got a certain nostalgia itch that needs scratching.